One planet, 7.3 billion people, only one you. Life offers us many opportunities and learning experiences. Are you ready to explore and discover this beautiful planet, the life and energy all around us, the spiritual world, and what is unseen, along with your own personal soul adventure? Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, is the spiritual connection you have been prospecting for. Internationally known as a tested and professional clairvoyant medium and spiritual advisor, Mark's work as a metaphysical teacher, medical instructor, radio show host, inspirational writer, and hiking guide are here to help you on a journey of self-discovery, healing, inspiration, education, and a whole lot of spiritual awesomeness. Dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live. For more information on Mark's spiritual practice in Seattle, Washington, please visit marclainhart.com or internet search The Intuitive Prospector.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Good afternoon or good evening, wherever you may be in this beautiful, transformative planet of ours. This is Metaphysical Mocha Mondays. I am your host, Marc Lainhart, the Intuitive Prospector, coming to you live from my studio here in West Seattle, Washington, the beautiful Pacific Northwest. If you want to learn more about what I'm doing in the world, the work I'm doing, the shows I'm doing, the radio, the podcasts, the lectures, the teachings, you can always go to marclainhart.com, internet search the Intuitive Prospector, and I'd love to do a little spiritual prospecting with you to help you discover your own spiritual healing, your own spiritual transformations, and of course, your spiritual gold, or what I like to say, the diamond within. So good morning to you. Grab your coffee, grab your tea. Let's take about 30 minutes of inspiration, encouragement, motivations over a cup of coffee, cup of tea, cup of cocoa, protein shake, glass of water, whatever is, getting your day going, getting your Monday going. We're here every Monday at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the Intuitive Prospector channel. So make sure to like, subscribe, turn on, smash that share button, and join the 33,000 followers of the page. It's just amazing how the page continues to grow, and I really am appreciative of that, very humbled that people are tuning into the work I'm doing, whether it's mediumship, meditation, talking about medicine, talking about spirituality, talking about metaphysics, because this is Metaphysical Mocha Mondays, and of course, everything psychic and spirituality, intuition, awareness, all that good stuff, or what I like to say is spiritual awesomeness. So cheers to you on this Monday morning, where we try to be every Monday morning, followed by the Healing Cafe, which will be immediately after. I wasn't on last week. I was actually on vacation, took a little vacation, was the first time that I'd gotten out. Went back to my hometown and went to my niece's beautiful wedding. So congratulations to her and our new family member added to the family, Adam. So congratulations to Sammy and Adam on their union, and wish them a life filled with blessings and love and children and happiness and whatever their journey is. So I actually was in Spokane last week, and it's the first time I've seen a lot of family members now that we're starting to turn the corner with COVID. And it's the first time that I've really got out in almost 16 months after this pandemic started. And then I got back and I got now my first head cold. It's the first time I've had a cold. It's not COVID. I am fully vaccinated, and I don't have Bill Gates nanotechnology in me. So I'm a little bit under the weather with this head cold that I've had for a few days, but it just shows me that my immune system is working. It's like getting a flu shot every year. And I haven't been sick in over a year before this pandemic actually started. It was actually February of I guess 2020 that I had come down with a little bit of, from a workshop we did here in Seattle. There was some sickness that had gone around from workshops, which just happens when you get a bunch of humans together. So I'm a little under the weather, so I don't know if I'm going to be doing any readings in the Healing Cafe. I may actually be doing a breath in singing bowl meditation, see how I feel. But I also want to say good morning to my team. Thank you for coming in. If you're on and you see a comment from the Intuitive Prospector, know that that's not only just myself, but I have a team on the Intuitive Prospector pages that are administrators and moderators of the page and the comments that come in. So it will be coming from one of my team members. So good morning to you if you're on. And I hope you'll join me in Healing Cafe to help me manage some of the content that does come through. So today's message is we're going to talk about pain. And there's a lot of pain out there. You notice I got my little haters are going to hate t-shirt on, because I've learned that in the last 15 months of this pandemic. I've learned that people, we've all seen the same thing, but we have different perspectives, right? And, we've all seen this pandemic. We've all seen the chaos, the politics, the vaccinations and not vaccinations. And we've seen two kind of paradigms spread out, two different perspectives, which, that's always going to happen. But through this last 16 months or so, and, I've been impacted by COVID directly, both personally, family, and friends. So I know that it's real. I know that the vaccinations work 100%, just based on my own experiences. And that's all I can do, is share my experiences based on what I've seen and gone through with this pandemic, my predictions. And through that process, you're always going to have people that disagree with you. But just because we disagree with one another, we don't need to go into a place of cruelty and cause more pain. We don't need to come from a place of hatred. But I've learned that through this, haters are going to be haters. These are the two guys from the Muppets. They always said, they always had negative things to say. And I can honestly say with you, in the last year and a half of my own spiritual journey and who I am and why I even got into psychic and why I got into mediumship, came from great pain and great trauma and great tragedy and near-death experience and out-of-body experience, and not really sure that I wanted to do this work, because comes with a lot of grieving and pain and loss and depression and anxiety and all the things that have, when you deal with death and dying. But also with that comes reunions and knowledge of life after death, and that love continues on. We had a great event this weekend, Between Worlds, Love and Life, with my colleague and friend Penny Hayward over in England online. So thank you to everybody that came and participated in those reunions and received messages from the spirit world. It was a lot of fun, a lot of healing, some tears, some laughter. And that's where I'm at with today's message. And today's message is, if the pain is not transferred or transformed, it is transmitted. And there's a lot of pain out there with people today. And like I said, if we don't transform our pain, then we transmit that pain out. And I can speak from example. There was a lot of pain that I went through in my own journey, understanding what all this was, the loss of my brothers, the loss of my father-in-law, the loss of my father, my real father, some of my past that had come up and creeped up into my awareness of things I didn't know from, DNA searches and family trees. And, I didn't transform that pain. I transmitted that pain. And so if you've ever been on the receiving end of some pain that I've transmitted from me personally to you, I apologize. That's never been my intention. I know people are always going to react different to, different opinions. But like I said, we can always have different opinions. We can always have different perspectives. But we can also be kind in this day and age. I always talk about being kind, caring, and compassion. And I really try to hold that to my mannerisms and my professionalism. And sometimes you have to stand up for what is right. This last year we've had to stand up for equality. We've had to stand up for equal rights. We've had to stand up for democracy. We've had to stand up for the things that the community believes in, not what a few people with power believe in and try to mandate. And that's a lot of the politics that we've seen that's caused a lot of this great divide. But I've also talked about how I do see this great coming together. And some of the stuff that I see, that I still continue to see, is never from a place of fear or fear mongering. I always say fear the fear, because fear is false evidence appearing real. And when we can, when I see my visions or my meditations, just like I said, this pandemic back in January would start to turn in May and June of this year, based on science, based on vaccinations, based on education, based on unity, based on working together. And we're in the middle of June now. This is also the month that we get to know about aliens or some sort of report on UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, which I've been talking about for 3 years. But it's not to be a roadmap to scare anybody. It's about how can we navigate and prepare, because preparation is always a big part of life. How do you prepare for the things that are coming that you can't control? That's something that instilled in me early in my career. When I was in the Coast Guard, we used the word semper paratus, which means always ready. And, trust me, I didn't know years later that I would be doing predictive psychic work and, be doing events and doing these shows and doing radio podcasts. I didn't know that I'd be doing that. But what I went through transformed me, and that pain that I went through transformed. And just because you've gone through pain in a certain part of your life, it doesn't mean that the pain ends. It's always, I always go back to Rumi, the cure for the pain is the pain. So it's how you transform the pain, and instead of transmitting the pain. And there's a lot of people right now in the world that are hurting. There's a lot of hate out there. There's a lot of people that are being cruel and mean. And we may even get some comments on this show. We sometimes get in the Healing Cafe where people show up and just do stupid things and say stupid things. I get some of the comments that I'll post out there that are coming from a place of just trying to spread love and awareness and knowledge and education and science, and I get personally attacked. So that's been a real learning experience for me over these last few years. But it just shows me that I'm not really going to stand against anything in my spiritual path anymore. I'm always going to stand for something, not against, but always stand for progress, always stand for something. So for example, what's a good example of not standing against something? Somebody can say, oh, you're going to stand against a certain politician because of what he represents and his lack of moral standards. No, I'm not going to stand against him. I'm going to stand for moral standards, a moral code, treating others as I like to be treated, the golden rule. That's what I'm going to stand for. And that's what this last 18 months with my profession, my career outside of this, my family, my friends, my colleagues, what I do. I'm not standing against anything in my spiritual path. I'm standing for things. And that's where I'm going forward. I always remember, I saw a great quote this morning that says, the razor blade is sharp, but it can't cut a tree. The axe is strong, but it can't cut the hair. Everyone is important according to his or her own unique purpose. Never look down on anyone unless you're admiring their shoes. And those are, these are, as I move forward with my work and who I am and trying to be a better version of who I am each and every day, because that's all I have is today and the magic of the moment. I have to realize that pain will be a constant part of the journey. And it's how I transform and transfigure the pain that I'm receiving. And so I don't move the pain and transmit that pain to somebody else. It's kind of like, the whole conversation I've been watching with the whole vaccinations and anti-vax. And for those of you that follow my work, you know that I'm a huge student of history. I always go back to learn from history. And I'll be talking about this on the podcast, Inspired Living Radio, this Wednesday through Om Times Radio. That's my radio show. You can just go to marclainhart.com and get all the links there. And I'll be talking about the transformations that take place after a pandemic. Because if you look back at history, every 100 years, from the 1620s, the 1720s, the 1820s, the 1920s, the 2020s, the globe has gone through a pandemic of sorts, whether it was the Black Plague, whether it was whooping cough, whether it was polio. That polio was more in the 1930s, but still there are a time and a place when people should get vaccinated. I'm not saying vaccinate for everything, but there are certain times like chicken pox. I've had so many vaccinations in my journey, and I know that there's a debate on autism and not, do vaccinations cause autism? But we have to realize that without viruses, there's no humans. So you have to be able to find balance in what you get vaccinated. And this is the time to get vaccinated and just stop COVID, because there's no cure for COVID. It's going to be around for a while, kind of like AIDS. There's no cure for AIDS, but yet AIDS is still around. But we've mitigated it. We've learned about it. We've learned the science, and we've created science. And the only thing that begets science is better science as we learn. And that's part of what we do as humans, is we learn from our experiences. But there are certain times that you should get vaccinated to stop the progression of something that's global, that's killing people. And so I know, being fully vaccinated now, yes, I may still get COVID, but I know that I have a better chance of survival, not being on a ventilator and going directly to the hospital because I'm vaccinated. But I know, being vaccinated, I'm not going to transmit that to somebody else. Like, I'm not going to transmit my pain to somebody else, because I never want to cause what I've seen personally in my own experiences, to see somebody become sick because of somebody else, because they refuse to get and participate in public health. Remember, this is public health. I work in healthcare. I look at the science, I look at the data, I look at the metadata of what's going on in our world. And there are certain times in history where you should get vaccinated to stop the spread of something. You know, somebody had tried to debate me on, well, COVID, the chances of you dying are 0.001%. I'm like, yes, that is. But 30,000 people die of the flu every year. That is true. But we didn't have a flu this year because people were mitigated in isolation. Everybody was wearing masks. So we didn't have 30,000 people die. But COVID was fully mitigated on a global scale. That means every country around the world was locked down or isolated or had some sort of government standard. And it still has killed, to date, 3.5 million plus. That number will go up when it's all said and done. And that's horrible. And then when people say that to me here in the United States, well, that means that only 0.011% will die. Yeah, but if you take a population of the United States, which is about 320 million people, based on that small percentage, that's still close to 3 million people. I'm not okay with watching 3 million people die. That's half of the people that were killed and murdered in the Holocaust. So, I'm doing my due diligence to stop the spread, to get vaccinated. I'm still here. I've been vaccinated for a month now. I haven't turned into a zombie. I haven't had any issues. Yes, I have the flu and a head cold, which is normal. That tells me that things are getting back to normal. But like I said, in January, around May and June, we would start to turn the corner of COVID. And we are seeing that. We are getting back to normal. But there is a new normal. There is not going to be the normal that we're used to. So everybody is seeing the same thing, but are going to have different perspective, which is causing pain and causing hurt and causing grief. And one of the things we have to remember as we start to emerge from this pandemic is that there is going to be these different perspectives. People have changed through this. I am predicting one of the biggest shifts in careers probably that we've seen in the last 100 years, where people are going to say, I'm worth more. I'm worth being paid versus a minimum wage to survive, because we're the only species that pays to live here. And as I look at capitalism as a whole in the United States and around the globe, I don't see sustainability with that. Some of my visions, some of my dreams, some of my meditations tells me that if billionaires pay no taxes and you don't raise the minimum wage for essential workers, something's going to have to give on that. You can't have people that are billionaires. We're going to see our first trillionaire in this decade in our roaring 20s as we get back to this new normal. But you can't continue to have billionaires and trillionaires and millionaires paying no taxes and participating, kind of like the vaccination, participating in community, because that's what this world is about, participating in community, and then not giving a sustainable wage for people to survive, including our veterans. Some of our veteran families have hard time. And I remember being a veteran, making ends meet and trying to survive. Where's my next meal coming from? That's not sustainability. And one of the words that I've talked about for the last 2 years with my predictions and my prediction shows that I do every January for what I see is self-mastery, the great coming together, sustainability, and homeostasis. And as we emerge from this pandemic, the normal that we once experienced, including working, going into a place to work from 9 to 5, 5 days a week, that will change. Careers are going to change. A lot of people are going to shift because people have changed. And through that, with many people changing in many different cultures and countries around the world, there's also going to be, and we're seeing it with the mass shootings. We're seeing more talk about mental health and anxiety and depression, and the suicide rates have skyrocketed. I always keep a track on suicide rates based on some of the data that I have access to, because suicide rates, not only for adults, but children tells me what's going on in society. So as we emerge in our roaring 20s that I talked about, which I think is going to also become our whoring 20s as people get out and want to connect again. So we're going to have our roaring 20s and our whoring 20s. We're also going to see that everybody, as we lift restrictions, there are going to be people who have extreme anxiousness. There's extreme anxiousness to being vaccinated, to not being vaccinated. People that are vaccinated that don't want to be around people that are not vaccinated. So we're going to have to really come from a place of transforming our pain and our hurt so we don't transmit it to others, and try to understand perspectives and come from that place of kindness, caring, and compassion, knowing that it's not always going to be returned. You guys, there are haters gonna hate, and you just got to realize that. But you got to keep going forward with positivity, with focus, because your focus determines your reality. And don't stop to listen to the naysayers. Don't stop to listen to the critics and the pundits. I always say, take, what was the it was what was it? Somebody said it the other day. It was a Joseph Campbell quote. It says, take guidance and instruction from others, but find your own path. And along that path, do it with compassion, kindness, caring, but know that people are going to, continue to transmit their hurt. And I think that's why we're seeing such divide and such reactivity, is because people are not transforming their hurt, they're transmitting their hurt. And we do that through social media. When I started these shows, I really tried to make my platforms of positivity. And again, you're always going to have these different perspectives and opinions, but at the same time, I can try to use platforms just to shed some light, share some light, share a ripple effect. And that's why I do Metaphysical Mocha Mondays on Monday morning, to set the tone, to set encouragement, inspiration, and motivation. Sometimes I don't want to show up. Sometimes I am hurt. Sometimes I am sick. Sometimes I'm in pain. But I know that when I do these shows, I feel better by helping and sharing, whether it's one person that I help. That's what this is all about. This isn't about fame. This isn't about fortune. This isn't about vanity. This isn't about narcissism or gaslighting. This is about helping one person that's watching this show today. If I've reached you somehow, some way, and I get people all the time says, Mark, I don't know what happened, but it aligned. You came into my feed. It made sense. I reached out. Some people have joined my spiritual development group because of it and have been with me on this journey for 5+ years now. You're that one person I'm trying to reach, because if we can change, starting with ourselves, and transforms ourselves, become the caterpillar to the butterfly, and reach out to help one person, that's what this journey, that's what life is all about. But just, be patient, be mindful as we emerge from this pandemic, because, every person, rushing to reclaim their old life, you're going to have to let go of the life that you once lived. It's you're not going to be able to go back in time to where we were 16 months ago. Things have changed, and things are going to continue to change. And sometimes that's hard for people. So, be aware, be patient, be kind, be caring. Know that this new norm is going to be just part of what happens when you go through a global pandemic, as history has taught us. And, have it, create space for people, listen to people, have a deeper understanding. And we have changed as a society. We have changed as a people. And that's part of the journey. For example, I just read that Norway, I've got a friend and colleague in Norway who lives in Norway. Hi, Demetrius. And we're going to be working together this fall. Norway has become the first country in the world to see the sale of electric vehicles actually overtake the sales of gasoline. So we're seeing, things change from energy dependence. We're seeing things from our Justice Department, the rule of law, democracy, space exploration, space capitalization, a report about UAPs and UFOs sometime this month. Little green men, I don't know. I'm not holding my breath on it, but we're having conversations of awareness. And I always go back to what Eckhart Tolle talked about. The greatest change for anything is through awareness, and conversations through awareness. And so, as we start to say goodbye to gas, as we start to say goodbye to how we used to do jobs and sustainability for receiving a good wage and childcare and homelessness, and how we start taking care of people that, that do suffer from addiction and do suffer from mental illness and can't get a job or get a shower or a clean, clean shower or a hot meal. we're going to really start looking at our planet too, from a sustainability and how we take care of our planet, because as above, so below. And until we realize there's a planet B, this is the only planet we have. So with that, there's always going to be people that, are going to fight against change, and there's always going to be haters that hate. But for today's message, if you can, move forward with, transforming your own personal pain so you don't transmit it, that's going to help our world start to change and become a better place to be. For our younger generations, what we're doing as older generations, as stewards for the future generations that are behind us, are we really leaving a planet in a system that is sustainable for this younger generation? No, and they see it, they know it, they're standing up to it. Sometimes you have to accept the fact that certain things will never go back to the way that they used to be. And that's just part of life. That's part of the soul adventure, if you will. So, today's message is all about, if the pain is not transformed, it is transmitted. And, just like COVID, we don't want to transmit and transmute COVID. We want to do things that are responsible as a public healthcare global society, as a global community, to stop the spread, because there is a variant out there that's still out there that we're keeping an eye on, that it had really decimated India and has now moved to England, which will probably move here to the United States. So COVID isn't over until there's a cure for COVID. COVID will be in our society for, many years to come, until we actually find science to find a cure, like we found a cure for polio. But just like I said, AIDS has been around since the 80s, and there's technically no cure for AIDS yet. But if we lean into facts, and we lean into science and get away from these conspiracy theories and these anti-facts and YouTube videos of just crazy, I don't know what else to call it, crazy ass shit. I'm sorry, but there's just some stuff that does not align to logic. I'm going to stick with the world that 2 + 2 is 4, because I know that from a fact, from what I've known from mathematics. I'm going to stick to what I know, that the earth is round. And there's a lot about the planet that we still don't know, in our oceans. And I'm going to stick to the sky is blue, because that's what my eyes tell me. That's what I know to be true based on the laws of physics. So that's the world I'm going to live in. I hope you'll join me in that world. And if that's not of your world, that's fine too. That's your perspective. But it doesn't mean that I have to be aligned with that perspective. And I don't need to hate. I don't need to hate somebody because I disagree with somebody. I just don't need to be around that person. So, again, part of the journey of spiritualism that I found in the last 1.5 to 2 years is the ability to shift your perspective, to be flexible, to have patience, to have understanding, try to always come from a place of kindness, caring, and compassion, knowing that it's not always going to be returned, and that's okay. Keep going, because as Winston Churchill always reminds us, if you stop to listen to every barking dog along the way, you'll never get to where you're going. I found that to be true, and there's a lot of barking dogs. There's a lot of sharks out there in this world. But keep going. Stay the course, stay focused on what is right for you and helping others. We're all humans. That's why I have this here. We're human beings. We need to start acting like human beings and taking care of one another versus competing against one another. When somebody, wants to compete with the work that I do, which I don't understand, because I guess that's just the world we live in, I guess. For me, I always say you can't compete with me anymore, because I want to see everybody be successful. I want to see people succeed. I want to see people happy. I want to see people not in pain and not transmitting their pain and transforming their pain and finding that diamond within, and helping people to see that. So if you're struggling, find things, exercise, meditation, good sleep, who you're hanging out with, what you're watching, garbage in, garbage out. These are all very important things for self-care, is very important for the journey. And our world is a very crazy, chaotic place. I know it. I've seen it. I've been a part of it for almost 50 years. And I just hope that today's show of, if the pain is not transformed, it is transmitted, is a good reminder for all of us in how we can move forward to find that diamond within. So I'm going to get ready for the Healing Cafe. I'm going to do some breathing meditations and some singing bowls. I may do a few readings depending on how I'm feeling. Like I said, I'm suffering right now from just a basic flu head cold, not COVID. Excuse me. So it just shows me that we're getting back to normal, because I haven't had a cold in 16 months. So things are progressing. Things are getting better. Things are going to be exciting. This is the year of the 5, guys. This in numerology, this is all about freedom, love, and adventure in numerology in the year of the 5. And that's what it's going to be. And next year is going to even be a better year, because we're going to get into the year of the 6, which is about personal responsibility, self-care, helping, healing. I think we're going to see some things of consequences and karma start to resonate in our society, things that have been done that need to be, addressed and spoken to and accountable to. That's going to be painful for some people, but this is the way. As the Mandalorian goes, this is the way. So I hope that you have a great rest of your day. I was just going to leave you with a quote that I had, but I don't know. I don't know what I did with it. So, you become what you feed your mind. So pay attention to what you're bringing in and what you're putting in and what you're giving out, and especially when it comes to pain. So if the pain is not transformed, it is transmitted. And with that, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Enjoy your cup of coffee or tea or your cocoa. I'm going to head over and get ready for the Healing Cafe. If my team wants to join me, please do so. Again, if you want to learn more about who I am, what I do, my backstory, my education, just go to marclainhart.com, click on the tabs. I've got my bio, my story, links to the different things I'm doing through TikTok. I'm going to share one of my TikTok videos, I think, in the Healing Cafe that I did, called the 7 Diamonds of Transformation, and maybe help with your journey if you want to check me out on TikTok. I'm having a lot of fun on TikTok, to be honest with you, compared to Facebook. But I'm on all the major social media, Instagram and Pinterest and LinkedIn and, what else am I on? Tumblr, Meetup. I'm kind of on everything. What else? I'm just kind of looking at everything. Twitter, Vero, Clubhouse, Alignable, Google My Business for pictures that I do. But I'm having a lot of fun on TikTok, and of course YouTube. If you follow my YouTube channel, I've got a lot of videos, my podcast, former shows, interviews. So click and subscribe to the YouTube videos, because I'm going to be doing some shows over on YouTube as well, Spiritual Takeout, and more shows on Instagram Live and TikTok. So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Until our next soul adventure together, be kind, be caring, be compassionate, and most importantly, dare to dream, dare to explore, dare to live, and discover that diamond within. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Take care. Namaste.